Good morning guys, welcome to Operation Crypto. Market update today. We've not done one for a wee while because there's not much been to talk about. We had that push up to range highs up here, then we've had a rejection. I did say a couple of days, it says look, we've pushed up now and we're going to look for retracement down towards that golden pocket around 20,200. We've actually dropped below 20k at 19,780. Let's see what happens here. I mean, the markets, we sort of felt a great week last week, didn't we? It was a bear market rally, but it wasn't sustained enough. We had that rise from 18,600. I mean, what's that in terms of percentage? I can't imagine it being too much from the lows there to the highs. 20% move, so it's a reasonable move, to be honest. I mean, during bear markets, you do tend to get decent rallies between 20 and even 90% on previous rallies. So we're definitely not going to do a 90% push up, but 20% I suppose is a reasonable level to push up to. We've come back now to around just below the range EQ, which is at equilibrium. Let's get rid of that Fibonacci now. So what goes on now? I mean, we're even come back down and test this liquidity area here around 19,200, or we'd come back down and test the range lows pretty much at 17,700. Usually what happens when you get quite a severe drop like this, you come back up and then you come back to retest it before you then do push on. But this could have been that retestment area there. I mean, it wasn't as low as that, but you're talking, I mean, a couple of percentage, if that. So for me, I'm still indecisive. I mean, if you look at a macro picture, the economic profile of what's going on across the world, everything looks horrific. And you wouldn't expect really to see much of a rise from stocks, bonds, crypto, anything really. But at some stage you are going to get breakouts, whether that's this year, next year, or even the year after. They will come at some point. And for me personally, I'm just starting to position myself slowly and methodically. Not on Bitcoin, I'm not buying any Bitcoin at the minute. I have got a stack of Bitcoin which I keep for long term, but in terms of altcoins, I've started to buy. I bought some Metis the other day. I think I bought it around here somewhere. It come back up and it's come back down to entry point now. Actually, about 1930, I bought it somewhere around those anyway, and I was in a decent amount of profit and come back to around level peggy now, but that is nothing to worry about. I mean, for me, long term, you need to start accumulating. Whether you're going to, I mean, you can look at a market and say, yeah, it's going to keep going down, and that is the most likely outcome, but what if it doesn't? What if it pushes back up and we get that hedge against the dollar pulls back here and crypto starts doing well? It could happen tomorrow, but it could happen in a couple of years' time. And for me personally, I'm happy to start dollar cost averaging now. So I bought 200 Metis at around just under $20. So that's my first DCA. If it does come lower, we'll buy lower, don't we? I mean, we've been down to $14, and there's nothing to say it can't go any lower. I don't know if it's been lower amount before, to be honest. I think that's the lowest point it's ever been. So if it just comes down to those regions, I'll pull out fresh capital, and what we'll do is then we'll start to DCA into that. I mean, if you're looking for some DCA levels on Metis, then you can use those levels there: 19.28, 18, 16.27, and $14. But probably going off a little bit of a beaten track there because there's a lot of assets that people could buy, and the main thing we need to look at is Bitcoin. So where do I think it's going to go? I mentioned two levels. Could come down and test this level here around $19,000. It's close to the bottom of those 2 weeks, and we've had no closures below 18,900 before. Well, during this period here, so that's an area we could come down and retest before we do push on. For any type of bullish narrative, the price really needs to regain this region here. It needs to regain 20,200. If we do regain that, then you can see in the past, once we've got above it, the price has gone on to rally. Once we've got above it here, the price went on to rally. So this is the area we need to get back above. Whether we'll come back down and then go back up and stay within this range bound price action is unknown yet. But look at our side there on 4 hours, it's pretty much sold off quite severely there, hasn't it? So two things I'm looking at. I'm looking to either long this period here or short this period here, and that's the only thing that you should be looking to do now, and that's long or short the range bound price action. Whether that's a 1x spot trading, I mean, if you've got a decent amount of size, you could buy at 20k and sell at 22,500, and you could make a decent amount, but it depends on your size. But if you're using a little bit of leverage, Wouldn't recommend any more than, I mean, in reality 5x is probably as most you want to use. I use up to 10 and 14x at some point, but that's just because risk management is in place. So for me, two areas you need to look at. We've got this range here for longs if we get back above the 20,200. I mean, the perfect short would be a retest of this period here. So you could retest that, rejects at 20,260 and short it down to here. So that's a potential scenario, but we just need to wait for it to play out. Hopefully by the time this video goes out in a couple hours, you may see the price either reacting above or reacting below. So let's just wait for that to happen and then we'll trade accordingly. Looking at Ethereum at $1,083, that's coming back down to bang on the equilibrium trading area. So that's what currently is support on this region here. Look at that sheer accuracy. It needs to hold that level of support now. Otherwise, it's doom and gloom and it's going back down to $900. So for now, it is on support of equilibrium, and you can see this trading area, it was a major area around here. Then it was a level of resistance, support, and now it is back at support. So for me personally, it could be a good time to long Ethereum, but just make sure you've got some stop losses in place. I'd have a really tight stop loss, no more than, or should I say no less than 5%. You don't want to be losing significant amounts. So that looks a decent area to long, but just monitor over the next few hours. If we start to push back down, then you're going to short it down to $900. So potential long on the cards here. It is at support, and it is shown that as a key area of support in the past, and that is at $1,080. I might jump off this video in a second, and I'll create a quick long setup, and let's see how it goes. Risk management is there. I mean, it's a game in trading. If you see something at support, then that is tend to be a great region to long, and vice versa. If we did lose that level, stop losses were in place and triggered, and then we could look to short it down towards this region, and maybe down towards the bottom of this move at $1,000. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump off and I'm going to open along on Ethereum. Whether it works out or not, it doesn't matter. Stop losses there to save my ass. But in terms of crypto sentiment across the board, looking quite diabolical. If you're looking at the ES, which is the S&P 500 futures, that's currently 0.78% down. The Nasdaq is 0.68% down on futures, and the dollar is still rampant. Whenever we got this strong dollar, everything else is going to be suffering the pain, and I think it's going to go up to 120 now, to be honest. I think this region up here, which I mentioned in the past, was a high. It looks like it's going to push up to there. We are in a bit of a level of resistance now. If you look at this region here, could be a decent area that way. We could look to get a little bit of relief on Bitcoin. If we just put a bit of a put a rectangle on there, as you can see, this region here is a major level of resistance, so that's where we should be looking to potentially get some relief now. Whether it's a relief on short term or long term, we don't know. But if you're looking at the price here, we're coming to this level of resistance now. We either reject, come back down and test the top of this, move at 103, or we blast through and go straight up to 120. Let's see if we can get a bit of rejection. It would make sense if we do reject here at 108, come back down to 103, and then push up. But let's wait and see. Let's see what goes on over the next few hours, and then we'll trade accordingly. But that's it. That's my thoughts on the markets today. Not much to talk about, but I think we're going to try and get a few more altcoin videos in this week. I'm going to do some reserve rights videos, some VeChain videos, and maybe some metrics videos, see if we can get some DCA levels down at some juicy levels. But that's it. Have a great day. Catch you later on.